SDS Erron con e de enetcomputers.com outro video para ti hoy. Another project. I'm going to load MX Linux onto this Fujitsu Q572 tablet. So let me cut to the chase and begin. So I have to power it on, hit the F12 key, and then get to a special boot menu. So I just got to keep pressing the F12 key on my keyboard, and eventually a boot menu should appear. There it is, and I choose option number 4, boot off the USB 2.0, and this will boot off of the USB flash drive that I created. As you can see on screen, it has MX Linux 18.2 x64. So I'm just going to hit enter, and it will boot into the desktop environment. It's a live USB, so you can test out Linux, and it also has an installer. Now this Q572 originally was developed for Windows 7. It was upgraded to Windows 10. I wiped the drive, reloaded Windows 10. I also installed Linux Mint 18.1. and it's only a dual core with 4 gigs of RAM, random access memory. And I found a Linux distribution called MX Linux that is light or weight, less resources. It uses XFCE, but overall the operating system is designed for, older hardware. It uses less resources. The USB iOS was about 1.4 gigabytes in size. And I actually installed it on a flash drive with only 8 gigabytes, which I will talk about that, make a future video. You can install Linux on USB flash drives. It'll take a little while to boot into the live environment. That tablet is only a dual core, and it's only 1.0 gigahertz. And also it only has, I think, 4 gigabytes of random access memory. I wasn't really happy with the performance with Windows 10 and also Linux Mint 18.1. And so I started scouring the internet and found some Linux distributions that are lighter weight. Eventually an icon will appear on the desktop and also a menu. And once I get to that state, then I will start the installer. And I will have to swap out the keyboard. That Fujitsu Q572 only has 3 total USB, or no, 2, I think 2. Yeah, I think it only has 2 USB ports. Here we go. We're almost at the point where I can install. So you see the installer icon in the upper left-hand corner. You can obviously test the operating system, and I will discuss that as if there's time in this video, but I need to move along. So I'm going to disconnect the keyboard and connect a mouse so that I can install it. Well, I might be able to get away. I don't want to fuck with the keyboard. I don't know if I can even. Now, okay, now I've got the mouse. And okay, so let's go up here. Okay, so there's the menu. We'll close that and we'll just start the installer. It's in the upper left-hand corner. You just double-click. It's a live USB, so you can actually test the operating system. Eventually, the install screen should show up. The flash drive is flashing red, so I'm pretty sure it's active, but I don't think it's the, there we go. It wasn't just the operating system. And then, let's see, we will change keyboard. I'm not worried about that. We'll just click next. And I'm having a difficult time seeing because the camera isn't the greatest quality. I had to lower the resolution, and it's a long story. So I'm gonna have to go, okay, let's see. Okay, the upper top, up here you can choose the device. Make sure you choose the right, hard drive if you have multiple ones or if you have multiple flash drives. Okay, so and then I chose auto selection. I've been using Linux for almost 20 years, or well, probably not 20 years, but it seems like it's closer to 20 years. And I never fuck with manual partitions. I just always use the automatic. And then we'll just click next. And then we'll just say yes. This is going to format the entire disk, and so you'll lose all your data. And it'll take a little while, but it depends on the computer you're using. I'm demonstrating this on a Fujitsu Q572 tablet. It's only a dual core, it's only 1 gigahertz processor. Then also, it only has 4 gigabytes of random access memory. So if you were to install this on better hardware, you'd find quicker response and a faster installation. I never fuck with manual partitions in Linux. You can partition the home directory. You can partition the major directories, home, boot, swap, temp, to whatever sizes you want, but I never fuck with that. I just choose the defaults and never really had a problem. You know what I'm saying? MX Linux. There's also, what is it? There's another Linux that's part of this. It's a Debian derivant. It's derived from Debian. Ubuntu, Lubuntu, Kubuntu, Linux Mint, those are all Debian derivations. Those are my preferred distributions for now, but there's SUSE, there is Fedora, there's Red Hat, there is Minerva, there's a lot of different distributions. Fedora, there's also CentOS. Fedora, CentOS, SUSE, those are based upon basically like Red Hat Linux. They're the RPM. The install files are different, RPM, and you also use Yum. I'm sure there's distributions that are derived from, Red Hat that probably would work on a flash drive and probably would work on a tablet and blah, 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 and are lower resources. Now, there is Slackware. Slackware, from my understanding, is about as basic Linux as you can find, but I could be wrong. However, it's very, very limited, you know what I'm saying? So, but that is another possibility. The MX Linux claims that you actually use it on, I think, Pentium 2, if not Pentium 3s. I don't think, first generation Pentium, but Pentium 2, Pentium 3s. And I think the amount of memory required is like 100, I think maybe 256 megabytes of RAM, not gigs, megabytes. So, and the computer I'm using right now to record this video has MX Linux installed on it. And it's actually installed on a flash drive, a USB flash drive, not a hard drive. I don't have a hard drive in this quad core. I made a video discussing that. And I was not able to install Linux Mint the one with XFCE, which was 1.9 gigabyte ISO. I could not install that on a flash drive. It said that not enough disk space, that it required like at least 10 gigabytes. Well, MX Linux installed on a 8 gigabyte flash drive, and I actually have about around 15% 15% disk space left. You can clean up MX Linux. It has a lot of accessories and programs and games that you could remove. I don't know how much you could strip it down. I don't know if they have like a server version only where it's just command line. I'm not sure. But on this quad core Hewlett Packard, it runs great. It runs everything runs off the flash drive, obviously. So you're using a USB flash stick or a USB flash drive or a USB disk, whatever you want to call them, as your hard drive. And it runs just fine. You probably want to maybe try to use USB 3.0. I think this Hewlett Packard that I'm using right now, I think it has USB 3.0. But running MX Linux, I don't know, I didn't read all the documentation. Because obviously if you install it on a Pentium 2 or a Pentium 3, that is USB 1.0 technology. I don't think USB 2.0 was out back then. So really you're dealing with, whoops, I don't want to fuck with that while I'm recording. You don't, anyways. All right. It's kind of a lengthy install, but it could be the hardware. That tablet is not bleeding edge. It's only a dual core, and it only has 4 gigabytes of random access memory. So, but I think it'll run a lot better. That's why I'm swapping out. I don't have any complaints with Linux Mint 18.1 with XFCE. But, you know what I'm saying? It's just, I used to work with it. I made money with it, and it's just a little bit sluggish. Whereas I noticed with MX Linux, when I tested it off the live flash drive, less resources, and it seemed a lot better response. You know what I'm saying? So we'll just sit back and watch the install. Oh, you know what? I can move that thing and show you that MX Linux comes with in the background on the desktop, it comes with a clock, as you can see. That time isn't correct because that tablet's not connected to the internet, so that, well, the time isn't correct. Well, whatever, who cares? You're going to be watching this sometime in the future. You're not going to give a fuck, but I'm just saying. That clock is not correct where I'm at because it's not connected to the internet. But it obviously has a clock. It has the date, and then it also shows you the percentage of hard drive space being used, and also the memory, how much memory is being used currently, and also the central processing unit. So I thought that was kind of cool. I don't know how to change those settings. I don't know if you can turn it. I think you could. I accidentally turned it off, and I was like, how the fuck do I get it turned back on? And I had to click some keystrokes, or I restarted the X Windows or something. I would kind of see if you can change. You can change the background. I don't know if you can change like the size of the font or the way the date is printed or anything, or I don't know if you can change that or not. And there should be a way to disable it, but I couldn't find it. There's a tweak tools with MX Linux. You have tweak tools, and there's Office that comes with the distribution. It's not a stripped down version of Linux. It's not like Slackware. There's a lot of software that comes with MX Linux. LibreOffice is installed. Well, it comes with the distribution. That will get installed. VLC, the video LAN, the multimedia player will get installed. What else? Oh, GuckView. GuckView is a photo and video creator. You can record video. I'm using GuckView on this Hewlett-Packard to record this video. And I connected a USB camera. I'll make a future video. It's a USB camera. Anyways, so GuckView comes with it. You can record, videos. You can take photos with it. It also has a screen capture program where you can take screen capture photos of the desktop or a window or whatever. It also, I think, comes with a USB flash drive creator so that you can create bootable live USB flash devices. It comes with games, solitaire, and crap like that. What else? Off the top of my head. It has a lot of software compared to the Linux Mint 18.1 distribution. It doesn't come with cheese, but it comes with GuckView. And it comes with Mozilla Firefox, but I can't stand Mozilla Firefox. It's garbage. So my preferred web browser is a Brave New World. A Brave New World revisited for people with color. Brave web browser. But by default, Mozilla Firefox is part of the distribution. But anyway, so we're almost finished here. We're almost finished. You know what I'm saying? And anything else about MX Linux? I haven't used every single tool. It has a lot of software that's already part of the install. And it has Synaptic. It has GUI installers like Synaptic that you go in there at obviously the command line with apt-get. So right now, off of the USB flash drive and during the install, it's using about 57% central processing unit. It's only a dual core, 12% of the memory, and it says 0% of the hard drive, but whatever. On my Hewlett-Packard that I'm using to record this video, CPU right now is 15%, recording this video, memory is 8%, and hard drive is 89%. Well, that's because it's only an 8 gigabyte flash drive. And so I was able to install it. Whereas Linux Mint required at least 10 or 11 gigabytes, I think. There's a lot of different Linux distributions out on the internet now. More and more of them are similar to MX Linux, where they're designed for less resource usages, and you can install it on older hardware. So this is very important. If you listen to nothing else, pay attention here. This is very important. You want to make sure that you choose the right boot device. This is going to install Grub, which allows you to dual boot. It'll allow you to boot Windows and it'll allow you to boot Linux, but you don't want to, choose the wrong boot device. It installs it on the boot device. So as you can see, you've got two choices. So I'm going to choose the first one because it's actually the hard drive. And I want both. And I want the master boot record. And then we're going to say yes. Grub is a bootloader, but Grub is more sophisticated to me than the Windows bootloader. Although, the Windows bootloader you can actually edit yourself. So I could be wrong about that, but Grub will actually boot Windows partitions and it will boot Linux. And so here's a warning. Here's a tip. Always try to make sure that you know what hard disks are installed. If you have multiple hard disks, and just make sure you choose the correct one, even with flash devices. Because with Linux, with Grub, what happens if you pick the wrong hard drive, let's say I had two hard drives. One had Windows 10, one is the hard drive that I wanted to install Linux on. Well, if I fucked up and picked the wrong hard drive, it will overwrite the Windows boot record. It will overwrite the Windows master boot record. And then Windows will no longer boot. So when it comes to Linux boot, you know, like Lilo, I think Lilo has been retired, but Lilo was old school. Lilo and Grub, you just want to pay attention, and because it can fuck up the master boot record and the boot records. So here's another tip. Just try to keep it simple, stupid. Just to save a disaster, to save a mistake, make sure that you only have as many hard drives as you need. Disconnect any hard drives. If you have multiple hard drives, multiple operating systems, you want to dual boot, disconnect the SATA cable from the ones that you don't want to fuck up. You know what I'm saying? All right, so here's another. Okay, so this is just the computer name. I don't have a keyboard. I can change this all later, but you would just choose your computer, the name of the computer, and also you can enable or disable Samba. I prefer Samba, and I noticed with MX Linux it worked right out of the distribution. Whereas with a lot of times, even with Linux Mint and Ubuntu, you have to fuck around with Samba. Whereas on MS Linux, the motherfucker worked right away. Also, you can change the workgroup name. You can also connect to Windows computers, so you want to be on the same workgroup. And then what is that? Oh, the domain name. I'm not sure why it asked for a domain name. I don't really know why that is. I can change this later, so I'm just going to click next. I don't have a keyboard. I don't have a spare USB port, so I'd have to swap out the keyboard, and I'm not going to fuck around with that. Now here we go. The only part here is the time zone, and I don't want to choose. I can change this later too, but I don't want to spend too much time. When I install Linux, I like to set everything as I install so I don't have to fuck around later. We'll just choose this one, this Mountain Time. That's close. Well, it's not exactly where I'm at, but whatever. Close enough. Same time zone. And then it's going to ask for, credentials. And this might be causing it to be blurry because it might be zooming in on the text in the back. I don't know. So I think you have to create an account. So I'm just going to, I don't have a keyboard, so what the fuck am I going to do now? Yep, so here we go. I actually have a hub, but I am using it right now. I have no more keyboard, or excuse me, I have no more mouse. So. But you might want to get a USB hub for instances just like this. So I'm just going to use user, and I think you have to have a password. So, you know what I'm saying? You have to type it in twice. Then I think I can, and click next, and then hit OK. Now what did it yell at? Okay, so I got to move along here. So it had a space in the username. I fucked that up. Then I forgot that you have to set a root password. And so, okay, now we're done. And what does that fucking say? It asked to reboot, so we're rebooting. And as soon as I see that screen go black, I'm pulling the USB flash drive. So, you know, I might disappear here in a few seconds. There. All right, I pulled the flash drive, and it should boot off the hard drive now. There it is. So we'll just let it, I don't need to worry about compatibility or any of the bullshit. We'll just choose the top one. Sometimes you get false positive errors with Linux. That was one of them. Boom, it's booting. And I'm gonna have to log in, and then I gotta run. So this recorder does not have a clock, so I am not sure how long this video is. So what, half an hour? Is that about how long? It's 9/11. 9/11 was an inside job, man. No doubt about that. 9/11, 20, 30-minute install. That's not bad. That's really not bad. Without the commentary, you know, not bad. And eventually, and it's going to boot to the desktop. Let me connect the mouse one more time, and then I'm not going to go through everything. I'm just going to show you how responsive it is, or just kind of try to show you how responsive it is, you know what I'm saying? Make sure that, okay. Oh, you can't see the menu, can you? This always pops up, but you can turn it off. It's got Wi-Fi, so it's already seeing Wi-Fi networks. We'll click close. I can't see the left menu, so let me move the camera a little bit. Okay, so this is the rude and crude way of recording videos, but whatever. Here it is. So as you can see, it's got all kinds of software, including Office. It's already got LibreOffice on it. And here, I can't see very well because I'm a ways from the goddamn laptop. Excuse me, the tablet, the Q572. But I need a video capture card. That's in the works, actually. But I've got a lot of shit I got to deal with. So this is all the software it has. And oh, here's Firefox. Well, I'm not going to test the internet because I don't want you to know what SSID I connect to. And if you're offended by that, fuck you. And so, but I just want to show you that how responsive it is opening, you know, a web browser and all that crap. And, well, dude. Oh, what the fuck? Oh, come on, close them. Let's see. Okay, so there's LibreOffice, and also I wanted to show you that the resource usage and the goddamn camera. It's 8, 10, and 2 right now, but when I open LibreOffice, god damn, that's fucking horrible quality. Come on, bitch. When I opened LibreOffice, it was around 30, 40, so whatever. It's a dual core. Come on, zoom. That's just terrible. There's too much fucking glare. There's too much fucking glare from the lights. Well, fuck you then. I'll just turn off the lights. So that's it. That's MX Linux. Turn out the lights, Aaron.